So with a lot of excitement in the market, people are really starting to change their moods, right? I mean, just last week we were seeing everyone super worried, super nervous, saying that 25,000 was on the way. I was one of them. We saw the crypto world. We saw everything kind of getting a little bit shaky. We saw Bitcoin's price enter the weekly Gaussian channel, which is typically a bad sign. And so with all of that, a lot of people were nervous. And now we're starting to see that things are somewhat turned around. It seemed like the B word conference may have set it off a little bit. And so now we're looking at a little bit of a bounce here. Now, I think some people are getting a little bit too ahead of themselves, We're already seeing those YouTubers saying it's going back to 100K, it's going to 200K. And I think we should just take our time, okay? So what I'm going to talk about is something that's very important that's about to happen. And I think we're about to see a little bit of a fall. And now I know I said something very important than a little bit of a fall, but this fall is actually going to be very, very, very important for what the future holds for Bitcoin. Now let me explain why. So what we're going to be seeing soon is we're seeing a few of the RSIs getting oversold. We're starting to see a lot of our momentum slow down. We're starting to see volume decrease a bit. And what we've seen in the past is that following that over the last few months, it has typically led to a pretty big fall. If we see that pretty big fall, that could be super bearish for Bitcoin. But if not, if we hit some of these levels, if we hold some of these levels of support, I think it could be a great sign that we may finally start to see the reversal that people are speaking of, that they are saying is already here. And then that would be the further confirmation for myself to be buying more. Now, let me go ahead. Let's jump into the computer here and let me explain this with some numbers. So what we're looking at, let me go ahead and somewhat explain this. Let's go back to our 4 hours because that's my favorite chart to trade off of. And let's go out here, okay? Well, what I want you to pay attention to is the fact that we are in over territory for the first time. We've only done it 3 times this year. Here we are now. Let me kind of scoot this over a bit. There we go. And you can see we are in overbought territory right now. So the last 2 times that we've been there this year, the first time let's see if we go back up here. Let's try to move this. We can see just the big fall that happened, right? I mean, we're here. Then over the next few weeks, we fell pretty bad, right? This is over the course of about 12 days. We lost roughly 27%, okay? Following that, the next time that we did the same thing, we lost about roughly, I think this was about 30%, if I do remember correctly. Let's go down here to our wick. Yeah, about 29.45%. So both of these has led to 25% plus falls. Now, with that being said, does that mean that we could be looking at possibly another fall, man? I mean, somewhere all the way down up to about 25%, somewhere around that 25,000 mark? It is very possible depending on what happens in the next, I would say, week or two, right? So what I'm looking to see, though, is something that has changed, right? Something has become different in this that I think could play a factor in why we may not see a fall that big. Now, what I mean by that is going to be the fact, we don't need these right now. Okay. What I'm looking at and paying attention to is the fact that we were in a downward trend line on the RSI for basically the whole entire year. From the moment that we started this big rise up, I mean, all year long we were in this big fall. Right. Now, one thing that you can see is that off of the tops of these different bounces here, these swing highs, we set this trend line and we finally broke it. We finally broke it, which took a while. Okay. So what that goes to say to me is that maybe buying pressure starting to increase with selling pressure starting to decrease. So I think that if that is the case, and I think there's a good case to say that we may not see a fall this big. Let's go ahead and zoom out this big, because this is one of our first falls. See a fall this big or this big if, we're not starting to reach some of these bottoms again, if maybe we could find some type of support on top of this trend line. So I think we need to pay attention, and I think that goes to say that there is the possibility for this fall that could be coming over the next few days or the next few weeks for it to not be so dramatic and drastic as what we have seen in the past, due to the fact that we're finally starting to clear some of these downward trends that we're setting on the RSI. So with that, let's go ahead and say, fine, if that is the case, well, what are some levels in which we need to see hold to say, okay, we need to find support here for us to keep this uptrend going. Now, let me remind you all that if we go out to the weeklies, I said in the past that, and I still hold true to this, that there has not been a single time, not a single time that we have entered into the weekly Gaussian channel that we did not touch the middle, that we have not gone to retouch the middle, and that still holds to be true. That still holds to be true. Let me explain. Boom. I'll just give you a few examples. So as you can see, we entered into the weekly Gaussian channel. Boom. Midline support. Weekly. Boom. Midline support. Let's keep going back. I mean, it's every time. It's literally every time. Here we go. Boom. Weekly. Midline support. If we keep going back out, you guys can see, you see what I mean, right? And I'm not going to just keep doing it because, I mean, we're already back in 2014. Weekly Gaussian channel, boom, touching of midline support, okay? And it just continues on and on and on just like that, okay? And so if history is going to repeat itself, right, then we should see some type of touch here. But patterns break, and that's always the hard part, is that patterns break, but we need to be aware that the risk is still there. There is still the risk that we see some type of fall. This is the first time, though, in a very, very, very long time in which we entered on the weekly into the weekly Gaussian channel, but closed out of it. So if that is the case, this might be one of the first times that we open within it and we close out of it, and then that could be well enough to break this trend. But it's a pattern that has happened multiple times in the past. So again, we need to watch it, because this fall that is coming could have us falling back into there. What we were at, 25,000, look where this is at right now. Right at 25,000. So if that is the case, if history was going to repeat itself, then that fall of 29-30% based off of a 4-hour RSI, 3-hour, 2-hour, and 1-hour RSI all being in overbought territory, on top of what history has said with the weekly Gaussian channel, puts us back right around this level. Okay. So in order for us to not reach that point, what levels do we need to hold? What levels do we need to hold on to for us to not fall that low? Well, there are a few very, very important levels, but let's talk about the most important ones. There's 4 that I think if we can hold, that we're looking pretty dang on good. Okay. So the first one is going to be our, right here. Look, I'm going to show you guys exactly what Fibonacci I drew. We're here from this swing high. This is the biggest swing high that we had throughout this entire little consolidational / downtrend right now. This swing high down to our swing low down here, right here. Right here, look, boom to boom. Okay, that was our swing high to our swing low, and this created this Fibonacci retracement right here. At the moment, I would like to see that we can hold this 382. I think this 382, of course, is going to be our first important level, considering the fact that we haven't even gone up to test this 0.5 yet. So I'd like to see that now that we've cleared that as a resistance, now we can establish it as support, as it seemingly we somewhat have right there, and that we can continue upwards. Now, one thing that's interesting is if we take our Fibonacci and we pull it off of our swing high and we bring it down to this swing high right here, we can see that that same exact level where that bottom of that wick is also operating as our 618 on our next local highs Fibonacci swing high, swing low. Okay, so we can see that this level right here is operating both as, again, the 618 for this swing high, swing low, and also the 382 from this swing high to this swing low. So I would say that this level right here, boom, let's go ahead, let's mark this, bang. Our 33,855 is going to be our very first level that I would love to see us hold as support. Well, let's say we lose that, okay? Let's say we lose it and we're not able to hold it. Well, there's a few more levels that we have, gladly, that will allow us to say, okay, well, I still think that this could be a good level for us to maintain, for us to gain the support. So the next one is going to be the daily Gaussian channel. Now, you guys know that I'm a big fan of the daily Gaussian channel as well. I know some YouTubers don't like it, but I would say that recently speaking, we have seen that it has operated as our resistance time and time again, and there's no point in neglecting the fact that it's operating as resistance, okay? But one thing we can see is that now that we have broken into it, things could be looking up. Now, one thing that I would like to say is that there have been times in the past where we have broken into the daily Gaussian channel, but we were unable to establish support within it, which then led to a further fall, okay? Now let me explain. So we go in here, boom, we fall, we do well. We work our way in and we establish support here, but as we go up, we lose support and then we start to fall again, and we're consolidating, which end up leading to the top. But you can see though how even though we failed to lose to establish support here, the establishment of support here and the establishment of support here was super important to that upward momentum, okay? But if we take a look back in the past where we've gone in, look how we failed to establish support. So we're going in, we don't really establish support at all. We work our way back up. We see this fall continue, no establishment of support. We're consolidating around this level, and then we see it continue into a fall. Now, I do believe that this is an anomaly, but you can see just how important that establishment of support is. So what that goes to show is that based off the fact that in the past it has acted as a strong level of support to support an uptrend, especially in this last one that we talked about right here, this establishment of support here, where we're going, this is really good as support establishment. Work our way up, not so strong yet. Establishment of support again, we bounce, establishment of support, boom. So since it's acted so strongly as that level, we're going to go ahead and say it again, that I think it's equally as important, that if we do lose it, this is going to be our first level right here, right? This is that 618 and that 382 in a more longer term perspective. So that's level number one. This is level number one. There we go, level number one. I would say that this is level number two. This is the second level that I'm looking to see, okay, can we hold it? Now, say if we lose that as well, we have still regained that weekly 55 EMA. Let me show you. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of that. There we go. So as we can see here, the 55-week EMA was acting very, very strongly as support for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 weeks, for 2 months, and then we ended up losing it. Okay, but you can see that we were wicking below it, but we never really closed below it. Okay, but once we did, that's whenever we saw that bigger downtrend start. But as you can see, based off of our price at the moment, we have regained that 55-week EMA, and it would be, of course, optimal that we could hold this level and not fall back below it, because that could have just been some type of fake out, as we have seen in the past. So what I'm looking for now is, okay, off this 55-week EMA, which is roughly right here, we want to go ahead and also hold that level, 32,741 roughly. Now I want you to pay attention to this line right here. I'm going to draw this. Let's just go with 3 because, ooh, that's not a 3. There we go. Okay, it's fine. We can see here, but pay attention to where this lines up. Let's go back out to the dailies. Boom, boom, boom. And then we'll turn on our Gaussian channel. And you can see that at the moment, our daily Gaussian channel is operating exactly, precisely where that 55-week EMA is. So I would say even if we do lose our 382 and our 681, even if we do lose those Fibonacci retracements, on top of losing, you know, just some more of these different levels that we set here, if we're able to hold our daily Gaussian channel, which also lines up perfectly with our 55-week EMA for today, it's going to change, of course, tomorrow. But for today, we can see that it is definitely a strong level. I'd say the very, very last, let's remove drawings. I would say at the very last level of support that I think that we will absolutely need to establish is going to be on top of this trend line, in which we set for many, many weeks, right? So we were seeing this level of consolidation, something like this, or the operating within this this wedge, right? Now what we're looking to see is that if we lose all of those levels, boom, we lost that level, boom, we lost that level there, boom, we lost our 55-week EMA. The last level of support that I would like to see us hold is at least on this trend line that we've been setting since about roughly May 19th, okay? If we can hold that, that also gives us enough support to maintain, plus see some upward momentum. If we get a throwback back into this wedge, I think the likelihood of us having another fake out or another breakout to the top that's not a fake out like one of these is highly unlikely. Very, very highly unlikely. And I think with that, I think that there's a high chance that we finally see the breakout through the downside, because the likelihood of a triple breakout of a wedge is not in our favor, that's for sure. Okay. So with that being said, with this fall that is coming, it is very, very, very important where we find support. We went over 4 support levels that I think all need to hold up. And if one of them, if one of them fails, the next one needs to hold. If one of them fails, the next one needs to hold. And it continues on, with the last one, in my opinion, being where our trend line was. If that fails, if we start to lose this and work our way back down, based off of history repeating itself, based off of the fact that we have seen the 4-hourly being in overbought territory and then the price dropping 30+%, based off the fact that the weekly Gaussian channel was entered, which has led to a fall to midweek Gaussian channel support every time in the history of Bitcoin, I think that says that if we lose these short-term support levels, that we are going to revisit some of those lower levels, which is, of course, a fantastic buying opportunity. Go to the video where I said 2 great buying opportunities could be around the corner, in which I talk about where exactly I would be buying at. So pay close attention, close attention to if we hold those levels, and if we don't, anticipate that a great buying opportunity could be right around the corner. But with that being said, guys, if you did make it this far, I will let you know. Let me get that off the screen. If you did make it this far, I will let you know that I do have a Patreon, and in this Patreon, I post all of this information every day. I'm in there posting these videos early, giving them my notes, giving them my research, doing technical analysis, and chatting it up with everyone. So if it is something you'd be interested in, if you do find value in my content, of course, you can let me know by smashing the like button or subscribing to the channel, or if you could sign up for the Patreon, of course, that'd be absolutely phenomenal. But with that being said, you guys know the drill. I post on this channel 1 to 2 times every single day, and I can't wait to see you all tomorrow. Peace.